You're listening to Systemic Error Podcast. The failure was designed.
He's gonna flip. Critics predict Fetterman revolt after joining forces with a Republican, based on an article by Matthew Ross. Fetterman McCormick and the price of managed betrayal. The reporting is smaller than the signal. The source story centers on Sen. John Fetterman's apparent drift toward Republican alignment. He keeps backing Trump on key political lines, defended the president on a podcast, and has now entered a joint fundraising arrangement with Sen. Dave McCormick, a Republican from Pennsylvania. The article treats this as a possible party switch story. That is the shallowest reading available. The real story is not whether Fetterman changes party labels. It is that a sitting Democratic senator can openly build political and fundraising infrastructure across the aisle while still drawing Democratic ballot lines. And the political press still frames the whole mess as a quirky personality mystery. Power is not confusion. Actual power here sits with elected officials, donor networks, and the fundraising apparatus that turns public office into private political leverage. The Federal Election Commission filing matters because it shows coordination is not accidental rhetoric. It is organized machinery. The unusual part is not the senators' talk. It is that Fetterman and McCormick, from opposite parties, are listed together in a joint fundraising committee. That is not a poetic gesture toward unity. It is a political asset pipeline. It tells donors where influence is being pooled and where future obligations may be formed. The story's favorite trick. Make it about tone. The source gives Fetterman's own defense of Trump plenty of room. He says Democrats are wrong to run on explicit anti-Trump language, rejects describing Trump voters as fascists, and casts himself as the adult in a divided country. That framing is useful to him because it converts political judgment into etiquette policing. This is misdirection. The issue is not whether Democrats are sufficiently polite to Trump voters. The issue is that Trump is a political figure who has normalized authoritarian behavior, and Fetterman is helping sanitize that reality by treating warning language as the problem instead of the conduct. That is not moderation. It is cover. Betrayal as a brand. The article quotes critics calling Fetterman a betrayer and speculating that he may flip. That language is blunt, but it still risks understating the deeper dynamic. He is already testing what happens when a Democrat behaves like an independent contractor inside a Democratic coalition. His record in the source is selective enough to be strategic. He breaks with Trump on Iran, but supports military action against Iran and frames that break as principle. He aligns with Trump elsewhere and wraps it in anti-polarization language. That is not a coherent ideology. It is a branding operation built around whichever position grants him maximum leverage, media oxygen, and donor flexibility. What Democrats should say instead of whispering. If Fetterman is useful to Republicans and tolerated by Democrats, that is not a personality quirk. It is a weakness in coalition discipline. Democratic institutions keep making room for officials who want the party's ballot line without the party's obligations. Then everyone acts shocked when those officials behave like assets in a larger cross-party ecosystem rather than as representatives of a Democratic bloc. The answer is not ritual outrage. It is accountability. If a senator spends his capital validating Trump, fundraising alongside a Republican colleague, and attacking the language Democrats use to name authoritarianism, the problem is not confusion. The problem is that he is drawing benefit from Democratic affiliation while loosening the party's ability to defend itself. The pattern. This is what political decay looks like in practice. Not always over defection, but softened allegiance, shared donor infrastructure, and a press court eager to describe strategic alignment as some kind of centrist maturity. The public is asked to read this as nuance. It is closer to institutional rot. The larger lesson is simple. When elected Democrats treat coalition loyalty as optional, they do not create a healthier politics. They create more space for Republican power to borrow Democratic legitimacy, launder its own extremism, and call the whole arrangement bipartisanship. You've been listening to Systemic Error. Thanks to Alternate for today's article, with the automated voice of Labor. Thanks for listening.